Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in time and space. Welcome to Just the Word TV, and thank you for joining our daily morning devotion. This channel is built on one mission to help you hit what God actually said, not tradition, and just the Word. So, the first 5 verses of Proverbs 7 establish a theoretical framework for safety. Solomon instructs his son to bind wisdom to his fingers and write it on the tablet of his heart, essentially arguing that protection must be internalized before a crisis occurs. He personifies wisdom as a sister and understanding as kinswomen, familial bonds that are intimate, constant, and protective. In verses 6 to 8, the text shifts dramatically. Solomon moves from the classroom of instruction to the laboratory of the real world. Having established what should happen, internalized wisdom, he now describes a case study of what happens when that framework is missing. This section is not a warning about a specific sin as much as it is an analysis of the conditions that make failure inevitable. So the first verse, for at the window of my house I looked through my casement. Solomon begins this section by positioning himself as a witness rather than a judge. The transition is significant. Wisdom does not merely dictate rules, it observes reality. By looking through his casement, and this is basically a lattice or a simplified window structure, Solomon adopts a vantage point of safety and detachment. He's looking out at the world to understand how it functions. This highlights a key principle of wisdom. It learns from patterns rather than consequences. The wise person does not need to touch the fire to know it burns. They can observe the burns of others and deduce the nature of fire. Solomon is looking for data, watching human behavior in its raw state to identify the trajectory of the foolish. And behold, among the simple ones, I discern among the youths a young man void of understanding. And as Solomon scans the street, he identifies a specific demographic, the simple. In the context of Proverbs, being simple does not mean being unintelligent or illiterate. The Hebrew concept refers to a person who is open, naive, and unguarded. The simple person believes everything, lacks skepticism, and has no filtration system for the inputs they receive. They are not necessarily malicious, they are merely undefined. Solomon narrows his focus to one specific individual described as void of understanding. This phrase is the critical diagnosis. To be void of understanding is to lack the heart or internal fortitude to process risk. This young man operates on impulse and sensory input rather than principle. He is navigating a complex world without an internal compass. And this distinction is vital for understanding the passage. The young man is not described as wicked or evil at this stage. He is described as empty. The danger he faces comes not from a bad intention, but from the vacuum within him. Because he stands for nothing, he will fall for the first compelling thing he encounters. What's that saying goes? There's a very famous saying. If you stand, I think Malcolm X says it. If you stand for nothing, then you stand for everything, or something to that along that lines. And it's basically speaking to this: when you have no belief, when you're just empty, when you're just going with the flow, you will fall for everything that looks beautiful, everything that looks like it's supposed to help you, right? You fall for every little scam, you fall for every little thing because you have not built up that discernment, that discipline within yourself to understand that some things you just need to avoid, some things you need to have a little bit more wisdom. We need to have a little bit more discernment when interacting with these particular things. So, looking at verse 8, it is talking about the danger of proximity. Passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. Here, the narrative slows down to analyze the young man's physical movements. This is the moment where potential energy turns into kinetic danger. The text notes that he is passing through the street near her corner. It is important to emphasize this is that at this exact moment, the young man has not committed an immoral act. He has not spoken to the seductress. He has not touched her. He has not seemingly broken a specific law. However, wisdom dictates that he is already in grave danger. The failure here is not one of action, but one of positioning. He has voluntarily placed himself in proximity to a known vulnerability. He is walking the way to her house. This illustrates that temptation often wins through geometry, angles, distance, and proximity, rather than through overwhelming force. This verse teaches that direction precedes decision. The young man likely believes he can handle the environment. He may think, I'm just walking, I'm just looking, I'm not going to do anything. But he fails to realize that by choosing the path, he has implicitly chosen the destination. He has removed his margin of safety. Wisdom understands that you cannot walk towards a cliff and then be surprised when gravity takes over at the edge. Connecting this to everyday life, we see that exposure without discernment leads to predictable outcomes. We often assume that if our intentions are neutral, we are safe. We believe we can consume certain media, frequent certain environments, or maintain close proximity to toxic influences without being affected, simply because we don't intend to fail or intend to fall. Proverbs 7, and we're doing something very short today because I am exhausted. Today's section argues that our environment eventually overwhelms our willpower if we lack discernment. If you are void of understanding, lacking strong boundaries and convictions, proximity will act as a catalyst. If you walk towards the corner of financial irresponsibility, basically browsing things you can't afford, you will eventually spend. That is absolutely true. If you are someone who is constantly scrolling through particular catalogs, or you think, well, I don't really want to buy anything, I'm just looking. The mere fact that you're constantly exposing yourself to the website, you're constantly exposing yourself to that particular item. Say, for example, for me, I love looking at backpacks, right? I love backpacks. Anybody knows me, I love backpacks. And me, the website that I frequent the most is Air, right? It's AERSF.com. And I'm on that website all the time. And I'm not even on the website. Most of the time, I'm not even on the website looking to buy anything. I'm just looking at, oh, they have a new release about this. Wow, this bag looks beautiful. Oh, they have this, that, and the third. And just looking. And what that's doing is, right, it's like it's building data within your mind. Okay, well, this is how this person is using it. Oh, this is how they have it advertised on the website. On YouTube, I'm constantly looking at different bag reviews, right? Just constantly going, looking. So just because I may not intentionally at first, I wasn't thinking about buying a bag, right? I wasn't thinking about maybe purchasing another bag. The mere fact of the mere habit that I have of maybe of going on the backpack website, or going on YouTube and looking at bag reviews, is going to eventually lead me towards buying another bag, right? So this is what Solomon was talking about in this particular section. That just making a small step towards something, right? A small step. It could just be a small conscious step, even a small subconscious step, and you start to move towards it, you already are on the wrong path. That's why the Bible talks about and says that you just need faith as little as a mustard seed. Just a little bit of faith. Just a little, just one step towards the direction in which you're walking to will start you on that path. Meaning that if you decide that you're gonna take one step towards God, God is gonna meet you. But if you decide that you're gonna take one step towards whatever financial destruction or emotional destruction or whatever destruction will also meet you as well. So really, this is all like a mind thing. In my mind, it's all about character. If you're able to take a step forward and trust the character of God in the situation that you're encountering, God will meet you in that situation. However, if you decide that you're going to slink back, and you're going to just maybe go to that particular place of compromise, you're gonna go walk towards that corner, towards a seductive woman. You may be thinking, well, oh, well, I don't want nothing to do with that, or that can't happen to me. Trust me, the mere fact that you have it in your mind to even position yourself towards that path, you have already walked yourself down to destruction. If you walk towards the corner of emotional compromise, fostering intimacy where it doesn't belong, you will eventually betray trust. Meaning that when Jesus was talking about, and he said, if you first do it in your mind, it's basically you have committed the sin, right? So if you're lusting in your mind, you're basically lusting in real life. You're basically committing the sin. And what that means is, say for example, if you are married, right? You're married, and you're constantly holding this intimate thought of, you know what, I really, really, really like this person. Every time I see them, every time I go in a particular service or whatever it is, I just can't help myself. I just really just want to be with them. Although I don't want to do anything, I won't physically do anything, but in the mind, you're thinking, you know what, I would do X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. There's going to come a time when you're going to be given an opportunity to act upon your thoughts. And because you have been training that thought, you have been training your mind to accept that feeling, that emotional feeling, when that temptation comes around, you are just more susceptible to the trap that is being presented to you. And lastly, if you walk towards the corner of cynicism, consuming only negative news, you will eventually become bitter. If all you get, right? If all you receive on a daily basis is negativity. For example, sometimes the news can be full of negativity, and if you're constantly filling yourself with that, constantly over and over and over and over again, you'll begin to embody the emotion. You'll be able to embody the direction. You'll be able to embody the message in which the news is trying to give you, right? And this news, it doesn't have to just be like maybe TV news. This could be news and gossip from your friends, from family members, from anybody. Where it's not words that are meant to plant and try to build you, but it's words that are just being thrown haphazardly. Words that are being thrown out. Words that are being vented. Words that are not even being thought about. And these things are coming out of you, these things are being presented and being planted into another person, you're constantly listening to that, you will become bitter. So the young man's error was thinking that he could manage the exposure. He did not respect the power of the environment. So to conclude, verses 6 to 8 set the stage for the rest of the chapter. They provide the before picture, the quiet moments before the storm. Solomon effectively freezes the frame to show us that the tragedy didn't happen in the bedroom, it happened on the street corner. By the time that the seductress actually appears in the following verses, the battle is largely already lost. The young man had already surrendered his strategic advantage by venturing into her territory without a guard. This teaches us that wisdom is largely about logistics, knowing where to stand, where to look, and where to walk. The wise person avoids the corner entirely, understanding that the best way to defeat temptation is to never be in a position to be tempted. So, this goes out to all the people I've ever met in the past that have always told me, well, I'm strong enough to handle X, Y, and Z. I can biblically show you, and then I can statistically show you as well, that if you are put into an environment and whatever the habits of the environment is what the habits that you're going to pick up. So if the habits of the environment is poverty, right? Guess what happens to a new member of that community or a new member of that particular group? You will also adopt habits of poverty, therefore creating another person or another disciple of poverty. So the understanding here is this, that it's not you of yourself, we of ourselves, human nature wise, we are too weak to handle the temptations of this earth, right? And I think we have to go through this process of getting to the point where we understand that weakness. I don't think we're supposed to try to make ourselves strong in that particular sense, or try to figure out how to make our weaknesses better. I think once we come to the acknowledgement that we have a particular weakness and that our human nature will not be enough to fix the gap that the weakness creates, that's when you're able to allow God to step in, right? That's when you're able to allow God to step in and actually do the work within what it is that you're doing. So all that being said, right, I hope that you're able to get some type of understanding. Um, the analysis today is pretty short. Again, I am exhausted. I don't know. We'll continue tomorrow. Just to let everyone know, I don't know if I will be doing devotions for the next week. I will be on a family vacation. There will be a devotion done for tomorrow for Sunday, but after that, from the 14th to the 21st, I may or may not be doing the devotions. I don't know. Um, Family time, vacation time. Got to get all that stuff together before the new year comes in. Bigger and better things are coming. So, while I figure that out, until next time, I ask that you all stay grounded, stay humbled, and above all else, stay aligned with just the word. Thank you.